In the past, I have ranked Kenshi races, I have ranked weapons in Kenshi, I have also ranked minor and major bosses in Kenshi, but today we are ranking unique recruits. Now, there's a lot of them, so we're gonna go through these bad boys quickly. There's 44 in total. Most of them are Greenlanders, we have plenty of Scorchlanders and Shek as well, we also have some Hivers and some Skelly boys, and we have one animal. So, we have the usual tier. Let's get started right in, and we're gonna start with Greenlanders. First on the list, we have Bard. Bard is a unique recruit. He's got some cool lines. He's a poet and all that stuff. He's cool. He goes into A. Next Greenlander on the list, we have Crumble John from Mongrel. He's old and obnoxious. He does have some cool lines, but for me, he's not as cool as Bard, so he goes into B. Next on the list is Digna, one of the quite a few female Greenlanders that you can find in the Flotsam village. They all mostly share same dialogue and all that stuff, and she doesn't have anything real special going for her, so for me, she's a D. Next on the list is Dr. Chung. This guy is kind of cool. He is alone in the swamps and he's a doctor, which means there's something really shady going on, but he doesn't have enough of that shady going on to rank him much higher, but he's gonna go into C. Next on the list is a former Holy Nation soldier that got a vision from his Okran Lord that you're coming and he wants to come with you, but you do kind of have to pay him a bunch, so, you know, he's very special like that. He's definitely cooler than Crumble John. He costs a lot, but for me, he can't get to A tier, so B tier it is. Now, the next unique recruit, Hamoud, has got some really cool special stuff going on. He hates the slavers, don't we all? And he's looking for his wife that has been taken by slavers, so for me, he goes into A tier. Next on the list is the man we all love, Hobbs, the crazy man most of you have first met at a way station when you first played your game and you got him in, and he has been with you forever since. Hobbs, you get an S tier. Next on the list is the Infinite Wingrang, another person from Mongrel who thinks he's worth 100,000 cats, but then he's not, and you can get him for much cheaper. He's nothing too special. For me, he goes to C tier, but he is kind of cooler than Dr. Chung. Izumi is one of those special people you can find in the United Cities. She's smart, she's a decent medic, and she's got a dream. She's a scientist. She doesn't really have many combat skills, anything like that going for her, so nothing that special, but she goes straight up in nice C tier there. Next on the list we have Mio. She hates spiders, and let's be real, don't we all hate spiders? She's nothing really special once again, as most Greenlanders are not, so she goes into C tier as well. Next on the list is Pia. She is an actual decent Flotsam ninja. She doesn't cost as much as some others, and she's got some stats, so she goes into C. As you can see, we're stacking quite a lot of ladies out here in the C, but the next one, Knife, who is also a Flotsam ninja, costs a bunch more than Pia does, and is not actually anything better, and she does have, you know, same shared dialogue with the other Flotsam ninjas, so she goes into D. But after that, we do get to actual unique recruit with Red. Red is really cool because she tries to steal your money. She actually steals some cats, and that's eventually the cost that you need to recruit her. She's really cool in my opinion. She goes into A tier up here. Next we have Reva. She is another Flotsam ninja with another shared dialogue. Costs like 6k. Got pretty damn crappy stats, worse than these ladies. She unfortunately goes into F. Next is Ridley, who wants to go on an adventure. She doesn't really want to stick somewhere in a house or something like that. She wants an adventure, but she's not really prepared for it. She's gonna go into D over here with the rest of these Flotsam ladies. And since we're sticking so many Greenland ladies down below, well, Soman, the last of the Greenlanders on the list, she is bad at fishing, but she's actually good at engineering. But to me, that doesn't really mean much, so she also goes into D tier. Now with Greenlanders done, let's go to Scorchlanders. Those guys are cooler, right? They're freaking cool. And first one is definitely really cool on the list. We have Bo. She is a badass anti-slaver with an actual bounty that you can recruit. So she goes into A tier, and for me, she is actually more badass than all of these three guys that we already have up there. On the other hand, we have Cat. Cat gets himself captured by the Dust Bandits. You can find him in the Dust Bandit Tower. Doesn't really have too much special things going for him, but he's an okay guy. So he's like mid C tier, let's say. Out there in Flats Lagoon, we have another Scorchlander who is an actual martial artist badass. Chad is pretty cool. He's got nothing too crazy special going for him. He's also pretty damn expensive, but I think he belongs out here in B tier because, you know, he's a Chad. Unfortunately, the next Scorchlander doesn't get into any cool categories. Greenfinger is afraid of cannibals, can be male or female, so nothing really that special about him. They go into F tier. Then comes Jewel. You can find her in United Cities. She is good at cooking, but she's a Scorchlander, almost looks like a Greenlander. She's quite pale for a Scorchlander, and she just wants to cook. I'm sorry, but Kenshi, you know, requires a bit more from you than cooking, so we're gonna put her into D tier. Next Scorchlander is pretty cute. She is a crab lady from a crab town in a crab land who loves, you guessed it, crabs. Lumi goes into B tier. She's not too cool, but she is pretty cute. And the next guy is pretty damn badass. LeQueen, he is imprisoned in Tengu's vault. The man has a big bounty and actual books written about him. I mean, if that doesn't tell you he's a badass, yeah, he's a badass. He goes up here into A tier. For me, even above Bo. The last lady on the Scorchlander list is Shrike, another person from Mongrel. She's afraid of the fog, but let's be real, aren't we all? Other than that, she doesn't have too much cool stuff going for her, so she goes into C tier. Last but not the least among the Scorchlander is Stubbs Mimoso. Yes, he looks like a Greenlander because he's a Scorchlander with a Greenlander skin, and he is all kinds of crazy. Very unique. He goes into B tier for me, and let's put him in the middle somewhere above Crumble John. With Greenlanders and Scorchlanders dealt with, we now go on to Shek, where we start with a really unique guy. We have Else. He is a Shek drunkard slash thief. You don't really expect Shek to sneak around and try to thieve stuff. He is very special for what he is. In my opinion, he goes into A tier, and if you can redeem him, well, more power to you. Then we have Headshot, a Shek who wants to be ranged. You can see that over here we have some very special Shek, and a ranger Shek that is decently costly but has some good decent skills is quite important. It's quite useful, but can't really put him above, let's say, B tier over here. And when I say him, I actually mean her, but him for the next guy, which is Horse. Horse is a treasure hunter that you will find up north, whose squad got obliterated by cannonballs. Other than that, you know, he doesn't have too much special going for him, so he goes into C tier, definitely above some of these guys over here, so somewhere there in the middle. You all know him, you all love him. It's Kang. He will protect you with his big, strong shag body, and he will guide you to better future. Kang deserves to be A tier. Next we have Oron. This one I've only seen maybe once or twice really, and she is a Shek that is a peasant and wants you to pay her lord the fees so she can go back to fighting. But let's all be real, if she was a real Shek, she would have beheaded that lord many times over and gone fighting on her own, so I don't think she deserves much more but an F. Then we have Rain the Giant, who is pretty cool if there weren't for Kang. She is basically a more expensive Kang, but slightly worse Kang. So she cannot possibly go into A tier. We're gonna put her into B tier. And then the Shek lady, we all know, we all love, we all usually get her on a first playthrough, when you first play through Kenshi, and you never forget her. Ruka, what a special lady. She gets an S. I have done a series just with her solo, and she has beheaded the Holy Lord Phoenix and destroyed pretty much everything. She is a glorious S lady. You would think the next lady would also be as glorious, because she is the daughter of Esata the Stone Golem, Seto. But for her high status, her stats are really not that good. For the things you have to do to actually recruit her, her stats are very bad. So unfortunately, Seto, I cannot really put her higher than just a B. The last Shek on the list is Sinklide. He is also imprisoned in Tango's Vault. He's got a big old bounty on his head. But let's all be real. If he was a real proper Shek, he would have broken out of that place. He would destroy all the guards. So for that, I don't think he gets more than a D. I don't think the first person on the Hiver list needs much of an explanation. It is Beep, our glorious Lord and Savior. He goes into S, and we should all just pray to him. Another high worker on the list is Green, who is actually very good with ranged weapons. I like him very much because it's one of those cheap recruits you can get early on, and since he's a crossbowman, he's gonna just destroy and obliterate your enemies. I believe he deserves an A tier. Not that much for his uniqueness, but more for his stats. But the next guy is pretty unique. Ray, the only Hive soldier we have over here on the list. He is also a slave, and he is mute. So you can't really talk to anybody with him, but you can save him from slavery, and he's really cool and unique, and for me that gives him a straight up B tier, let's say up here. Next is a lonely Hive prince who needs a lot of friends. Silver Shade doesn't have too much going for him, so he goes into C tier. Then we have Yamdu, another Hive prince, and he is extremely cool because he's a unique recruit that you can replicate and get a whole ton of the same unique recruit. So if you want an army of Yamdus, you can get him. So he starts with a high status in the world. He is an A tier for me. The only Southern Hive on this list is Esper. It's really hard to actually get any Southern Hive recruits unless you're using lots of mods. And in vanilla, he's like pretty much the only guaranteed Southern Hive recruit you can get. So Esper, that is like your only redeeming grace. You're not really anything special other than that. So for me, he goes into B tier. Then we are left with our Skelly boys. First on the list is Agno. Everybody loves Agno. When you combine him with Beep, they are the greatest duo you can have in any game ever. You cannot convince me otherwise. I think Agno is even cooler than Beep, especially because everybody knows about Beep. Not everybody knows about Agno. And Agno is, of course, harder to get. So for me, he goes S tier, even above Beep. Then we have Burn, who is a very wise old skeleton who knows all about this world and is going to give you a lot of useful lore tips if you have him wandering around. For that, he goes into A tier. Last but not the least, amongst the Skelly boys is Sadnil. I guess he is the least of the Skelly boys. Doesn't matter. He is also old and wise, but unfortunately he is too depressed to be fun at parties. So for me, he goes into B tier, but he's still a strong B tier. And to wrap the list up, we have a goat. Cornelius, a very special goat. We all know goats are one of the most dangerous creatures in the world of Kenshi. There is no fun with them unless they're on your side, and Cornelius can be on your side. Very expensive goat though. Is a goat. Can't really get higher than a D. I'm sorry, goat. But at least we didn't put you into F. There you have it, boys. That is my unique recruit ranking list. Let me know how much you agree or disagree with me, and let me know who would you put up in the S tier and who would you put out down below into F tier. And otherwise, check out my other ranking videos. There's plenty of them if you haven't yet, and I'll see you around.